You are in the middle of a high-stakes job interview, or maybe you are finally at a quiet part of a movie on a first date, and then it happens. That sharp, rhythmic, totally uncontrollable sound that makes you look like a human squeaky toy. The hiccup. It is quite possibly the most annoying thing our bodies can do, and yet we all do it. From newborn babies to 90-year-old grandpas, even dogs and cats get them. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why? Why does our body have a built-in button that just decides to malfunction for 20 minutes? What if I told you that hiccups are not just a random glitch, but a 370-million-year-old souvenir from when our ancestors lived in the mud? Or that one man actually started hiccuping in 1922 and did not stop until 1990? That's 68 years of non-stop hiccups. Today, we are breaking down the mystery of the hiccup, why they start, how to stop them, and the bizarre evolutionary secret hiding in your chest. To understand the hiccup, we first have to look at the machinery inside you. Right beneath your lungs sits a massive dome-shaped muscle called the diaphragm. Think of it as the bellows for your respiratory system. When you breathe in, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, creating a vacuum that pulls air into your lungs. When you breathe out, it relaxes and moves back up, pushing the air out. It is a perfect rhythmic system that works 24 hours a day without you ever thinking about it. But, like any complex machine, it can glitch.
A hiccup is essentially a two-stage involuntary reflex. First, your diaphragm suddenly spasms and jerks downward, forcing you to take a quick, sharp gulp of air. But almost instantly, about 35 milliseconds later, your glottis slams shut. The glottis is the opening between your vocal cords, and when it snaps closed, it blocks the air from entering your windpipe. That sudden blockage is what creates that signature sound. Hic.
So, what causes the glitch? Most of the time, it is because you are irritating the nerves that control the diaphragm. These are the phrenic and vagus nerves. They run from your brain down through your chest, and they are very, very sensitive. If you eat too fast, you swallow air along with your food, which distends your stomach. Since your stomach sits right underneath your diaphragm, that swelling can poke and prod the phrenic nerve. It is basically like your stomach is accidentally elbowing your diaphragm in the ribs.
This is why carbonated drinks are a one-way ticket to Hiccup City. All those bubbles of CO2 expand in your stomach, causing it to bloat and irritate those nerves. Spicy food is another huge trigger. Capsaicin, the chemical that makes peppers hot, can actually trigger the phrenic nerve directly. Even a sudden change in temperature, like drinking a hot coffee followed by an ice-cold soda, can send the nerves into a localized panic.
But here is the weird part. If hiccups are just a reaction to a full stomach, why do we do them in the womb? That is right. Fetuses start hiccuping as early as the first trimester. They're not eating spicy tacos or drinking soda in there. Some scientists believe this is a way for the developing baby to practice using its breathing muscles before it is born. Others think it is a way to clear amniotic fluid out of the lungs. But even after we are born and our lungs are fully functional, the reflex stays with us for our entire lives. This brings us to the biggest mystery in biology. Why do we still have them? Most reflexes have a purpose. You cough to clear your throat. You sneeze to get rid of irritants in your nose. You blink to protect your eyes. But hiccuping? It does not seem to help us in any way. It does not clear our airway. It does not help us digest food. It just happens. This has led some researchers to look back at our evolutionary family tree. There is a fascinating theory that our hiccups are actually a leftover vestige from our ancestors, specifically the ones that lived 370 million years ago. We are talking about the transition from fish to amphibians. Think about a tadpole. A tadpole has both lungs and gills. To breathe, it has to gulp water into its mouth and then forcefully pump it across its gills while simultaneously closing off its lungs so it does not drown. This exact motor pattern, gulping while snapping the glottis shut, is almost identical to a human hiccup. We might literally be walking around with a prehistoric frog brain glitch that never got deleted from our software. But while a few hiccups are a nuisance, for some people, they are a living nightmare. Let us talk about Charles Osborne. In 1922, Charles was a farmer in Iowa who was weighing a hog. He fell down, and from that moment on, he did not stop hiccuping
for 68 years. He hiccuped about 40 times a minute for decades, eventually slowing down to 20 times a minute. He could not stop it. He went to dozens of doctors, spent thousands of dollars, and nothing worked. He eventually learned how to breathe in between the hiccups so he could talk and eat, but the sound never went away until 1 year before he died in 1991. He hiccuped an estimated 430 million times in his life. 430 million. Imagine the muscle soreness.
For most of us, hiccups only last a few minutes, but because they are so annoying, humanity has come up with some truly bizarre cures. You have heard them all. Hold your breath and count to 10. Drink water upside down. Have someone jump out and scare you. Pull on your tongue. Eat a spoonful of peanut butter. But do any of them actually work? Scientifically, most of these cures are trying to do one of two things: either increase the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood or stimulate the vagus nerve to break the spasm cycle. When you hold your breath, CO2 builds up in your system. This sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, we have bigger problems than a twitchy diaphragm. We need to breathe properly. This can sometimes reset the diaphragm's rhythm. Scaring someone works on a similar principle. The sudden shock triggers a massive sympathetic nervous system response that can override the hiccup reflex. Then there are the medical cures. If you have hiccups that last more than 48 hours, doctors consider them intractable. They might prescribe muscle relaxants or even sedatives to calm the nerves. But there is one legendary cure that actually won an Ig Nobel Prize in 2006. It is called digital rectal massage. Yes, you heard that right. A team of researchers found that stimulating the nerves in the rectum could provide enough of a sensory overload to the vagus nerve that it would stop even the most persistent hiccups. It is 100% effective, but I think I will stick to holding my breath for now.
In the end, hiccups are a reminder that the human body is not a perfectly designed machine. It is a collection of parts, some of which are brand new and some of which are millions of years old, held together by biological duct tape. We are high-tech computers running on ancient, buggy code. So, the next time you are stuck with a stubborn case of the hiccups, just remember, it is just your inner tadpole trying to say hello. It is annoying, it is embarrassing, but it is also a direct link to our primitive past.
Just hope you do not end up like poor Charles Osborne, because after 68 years, even the most interesting evolutionary glitch would get a little bit old. If you found this dive into human biology fascinating, make sure to hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. And if you have a secret hiccup cure that actually works, leave it in the comments below. I have tried everything from sugar to standing on my head, and I am still looking for the one that never fails. Thanks for watching, and try to stay hydrated. Just do not drink too fast.